Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm really pumped for this deep dive because, well, who doesn't want to know the secrets to success?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at some habits of highly successful people.
Okay.
See if we can learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
And our source material is a segment from the Legacy of Mindset podcast.
Cool.
And one of the things that really jumped out at me was this statistic. Get this, 40%.
Wow.
40% of our daily actions are habits.
Really?
Yeah, basically we're on autopilot for almost half the day.
So that's like almost half of what we do every day is just...
It makes you think, like what's really running the show here?
That's wild. It really does make you think, because if we're not paying attention, those autopilot moments can either help us or hurt us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So today we're going to break down 5 key habits they talked about on the podcast and how even small changes to our routines can make a big difference over time.
Okay. All right. So habit number 1, and this one I have a love-hate relationship with.
Uh-oh.
Waking up early. The podcast mentions a bunch of really successful people who swear by it. Like Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple.
Oh, wow.
And even Michelle Obama.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But honestly, is dragging myself out of bed before the sun's even up really the key to success?
Well, it's not necessarily about what time you get up. It's more about how you use those early hours,
Okay.
What's interesting is that a lot of successful people, they use that quiet time before the world wakes up to their advantage.
I see.
Like Tim Cook, for example. He starts his day at 3:45 a.m.
What?
Yeah, to get a head start on emails and exercise.
Oh my goodness.
Think about it. Without all the distractions, the emails, calls, just all the daily chaos, your focus is sharper. You can think more strategically, maybe even squeeze in a workout or meditate.
Right.
It's about setting yourself up for a productive day.
Okay. Yeah. I can see how a calm, focused morning routine could really help.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a night owl.
Uh-huh.
So if hitting snooze is more my style, what's the next habit?
All right, next up is setting clear goals. And this is where Elon Musk comes in.
Oh.
The podcast talks about how he sets goals a whole decade in advance.
10 years.
10 years.
I barely know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
Right. Talk about thinking big.
Seriously.
But it's not about the size of the goal, it's the mindset.
Okay.
What's interesting about Musk's approach is he breaks those massive goals down into smaller, more manageable milestones.
I see.
He focuses on the next step, the next innovation, and that constant forward momentum, that's what drives him.
That makes sense.
So even if your goals aren't interplanetary,
right,
the principle's the same. What are your top 3 goals for this year? Imagine breaking those down into monthly steps, then weekly actions. Suddenly that big goal feels a lot less scary, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we get overwhelmed by how big our goals are and forget to break them down into smaller steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're up early. We've got our goals all mapped out. What's next?
Well, it's great to be ambitious, but it's all for nothing if you don't have the energy and well-being to actually achieve them.
Yeah, that's true.
So habit number 3 is prioritizing health.
Okay.
And we're not talking about becoming an Olympic athlete or anything.
Right.
It's about realizing that your physical and mental health are the foundation for everything else.
It can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly.
The podcast mentioned Oprah and LeBron James as good examples, but let's be real. Most of us don't have personal trainers and chefs at our beck and call.
Right.
So how do we even begin to prioritize health when we're already so busy?
Well, that's where those small, consistent actions come in.
Okay.
The Legacy of Mindset podcast actually talked about a study that found that even just 20 minutes of moderate exercise a few times a week can have huge benefits.
Really?
Yeah, for both physical and mental well-being.
Wow.
Could you fit in a quick walk at lunch? Maybe swap that sugary latte for a green smoothie a couple times a week? Those small changes might not seem like much on their own, but over time they add up.
Yeah, it's like that quote, we're what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got early rising goal setting and prioritizing health. What's habit number 4? I have a feeling this one might be my downfall.
Well, get ready to be inspired, because habit number 4 is never stop learning.
Oh, boy.
And Warren Buffett is the king of this one.
Okay.
Did you know that he spends a whopping 80% of his day reading?
80%? Seriously? I'm not sure I even spend 80% of my day awake.
Haha, right.
That seems a little extreme. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be more to life than just reading all day.
Yeah, you're right. Balance is key. And Buffett's dedication is definitely on the high end.
Yeah.
But the main message is about constantly learning, about keeping your mind engaged and flexible. Even if you can't spend 80% of your day reading, what if you carved out just 30 minutes?
Okay.
It could be a book, a journal, a podcast, this one.
Yep.
An online course, the possibilities are endless. And what's really cool is that learning new things not only keeps your mind sharp, but also opens up new opportunities, new ways of thinking.
Yeah, that's true. You never know when knowing, like, the mating habits of penguins will come in handy.
Exactly.
But seriously, I get it. Continuous learning keeps you relevant, keeps you growing. Okay, so we've covered waking up early, setting clear goals, prioritizing health, and never stopping learning. What's the final habit?
The final habit is one that often gets overlooked, but it's super powerful, practicing gratitude.
Oh, interesting.
Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, he's a big believer in starting the day with gratitude.
I've heard about gratitude journals and things like that, but I've always been a little skeptical. It just seems a bit fluffy, you know? Does just listing things you're grateful for actually lead to success?
Well, that's where the science comes in.
Okay.
What's really cool is that there's a ton of research showing the real benefits of gratitude.
Like what?
Studies have shown that gratitude practices can lead to more happiness, better sleep, and even less anxiety and depression.
So it's not just about feeling good in the moment. It actually has a real impact on our well-being.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty impressive. But how does this connect to success?
Well, if you think about it, gratitude changes our perspective. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, we start to appreciate what we do have.
Right.
And this can make us more resilient, more positive, and better able to deal with challenges.
Yeah.
And when you're more resilient and optimistic, you're more likely to go after your goals, bounce back from setbacks, and ultimately achieve success.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've got our 5 habits, all inspired by these super successful people. But do they actually work in real life?
They do. The podcast actually shared a story about a guy named Alex.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Alex's story is like the perfect example of how putting these habits into practice can really change your life.
Okay, so Alex, our everyday hero. Tell me, how did he turn things around?
Well, the podcast described him as feeling stuck, you know, like a lot of us do sometimes.
Yeah, I've been there.
But then he learned about these habits and decided to try them out.
Good for him.
He started small, waking up just 15 minutes earlier to squeeze in a quick workout before work.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
See, now that's something I can get by. I can totally do 15 minutes baby steps, right?
Exactly.
But did he actually stick with it?
He did, and that's the key: consistency. He also set a clear financial goal to save $10,000 within a year, which he actually achieved by breaking it down into monthly savings targets.
Wow, so he's nailing the early rising and the goal setting. What about the other habits? Did he become like a health nut and spend all his time at the library?
Not exactly. He focused on making small but sustainable changes. So instead of changing his whole diet, he started by swapping his sugary cereal for a protein smoothie.
Yep.
And remember that 80% reading stat?
No.
Alex found a more realistic approach. He committed to reading just 1 book a month to learn new things.
1 book a month, okay. A quick workout, a healthy breakfast. I could actually see myself doing those things.
You can do it.
But did all this habit hacking really make a difference in Alex's life? Like, was there a noticeable change?
Absolutely. The podcast host actually talked to Alex again a year later.
Wow.
And the change was incredible. Not only did he get a promotion at work, probably because of all his new knowledge and his proactive attitude.
Wow, good for him.
But he also said he felt physically healthier and had more energy because of the workouts.
Great.
And here's the best part. He said he felt much happier overall.
So it wasn't just about external success, but about feeling better on the inside, too.
Exactly.
I gotta admit, Alex's story is pretty inspiring.
Yeah.
It makes these habits seem a lot less intimidating and a lot more human, you know? It proves that we don't have to become productivity robots to see positive change.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about this whole idea. We all have those autopilot moments in our day.
Yeah.
And by being more aware of them, by choosing to build even small positive habits, we can really change the direction of our lives.
I like that.
It's not about changing everything overnight. It's about those consistent little changes that build up over time.
Small hinges swing big doors, right?
Exactly.
So to recap, we've got our 5 key habits: waking up early, setting clear goals, prioritizing health, never stopping learning, and practicing gratitude.
Right.
We've talked about why they work, heard real-world examples, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty motivated to start putting this into practice.
Sure.
But where do we even begin? Should we try to do all 5 habits at once?
That's a great question. And honestly, trying to change everything at once usually leads to burnout.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Instead of trying to do it all, why not pick one habit that really speaks to you?
Okay.
The one you feel could have the biggest impact on your life right now.
Right.
Focus on that one habit for the next few weeks. Really make it a part of your routine. And remember, consistency is key.
Okay.
There are also tons of great habit tracking apps out there that can help you stay on track.
Oh, a habit tracker. Love it. I'm all about a good app. But what about those times when we slip up? We hit snooze instead of the gym, or we reach for the donut instead of the smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
How do we stay motivated and not feel like we failed?
That's a really important point. First of all, remember that slip-ups are normal.
Yeah, they happen.
They're part of the process. Don't beat yourself up about them.
Okay.
Instead, acknowledge the slip-up, understand why it happened, and then most importantly, get right back on track.
I see.
And don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Every day you stick to your new habit is a victory. Those small victories build momentum and keep you moving forward.
So true. We often focus on the big goals and forget to celebrate the small steps that get us there. Every little win deserves a happy dance, even if it's just me dancing around my kitchen in my pajamas.
Love it.
But seriously, celebrating those milestones helps us stay motivated and keeps us focused on the big picture.
You got it. It's about progress, not perfection.
I like that.
And speaking of the bigger picture, as we wrap up our deep dive into these 5 habits, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me with it. What's the big question we should be thinking about?
Out of these 5 habits, waking up early, setting clear goals, prioritizing health, committing to continuous learning, and practicing gratitude, which one feels most impactful for your life right now? And more importantly, what's one tiny step you can take today to make it happen? It doesn't have to be anything drastic. Maybe it's setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier, jotting down 3 goals you want to achieve this month, or even just taking 5 minutes before bed to appreciate the good things in your life.
I love that. It's not about changing your whole life overnight. It's about identifying that one thing, that one small change that can have a ripple effect. It's about realizing that we have the power to make choices, to take control of our autopilot moments and steer ourselves in the direction we want to go.
Exactly. And remember, success isn't some far-off destination. It's a journey made up of all the small steps we take each day.
So go out there and take that first step. We'd love to hear what resonates with you and which habit you're going to focus on. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for that best version of yourself.
Okay, so Alex, our everyday hero, tell me, how did he turn things around?
Well, the podcast described him as, feeling stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us do sometimes.
For sure.
But then he heard about these habits and he decided to give them a shot.
Okay.
He started small, waking up just 15 minutes earlier each day to fit in a quick workout before work.
15 minutes? See, now that's a change I can actually get behind. I can totally commit to 15 minutes.
Right.
Baby steps, right?
Exactly.
But did he really stick with it?
He did.
Yeah.
And that consistency, that's so important.
Yeah.
He also set a really clear financial goal, aiming to save $10,000 within a year.
Wow.
Which he actually achieved by, breaking it down into monthly savings targets. So he's crushing the early rising and the goal setting. But what about the other habits? Did he, transform into a health nut and spend all his free time in the library?
Not quite. He focused on making small but sustainable changes. Like, instead of overhauling his entire diet, he just started by replacing his breakfast cereal with a protein smoothie.
Okay.
The sugary cereal.
Gotcha.
And remember that 80% reading stat we talked about?
Yeah.
Alex found a more realistic way to approach it. He committed to reading just 1 book a month.
Okay.
To expand his knowledge and skills.
Okay, 1 book a month, a quick workout, and a healthy breakfast. These are all things I could actually see myself doing.
Yeah.
But did all this habit hacking actually make a difference in his life? Was there a noticeable change?
Oh, absolutely. The podcast host actually followed up with Alex a year later.
Oh, wow.
And the transformation was incredible.
Right.
Not only did he get a promotion at work.
Wow.
Probably thanks to, his newfound knowledge and his proactive approach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he also reported feeling physically healthier and more energized thanks to the workouts.
That's awesome.
And here's the kicker. He also said he felt significantly happier overall.
So it wasn't just about, external success, but about feeling better in himself.
Exactly.
I got to admit, Alex's story is pretty inspiring. It makes these habits seem a lot less daunting and a lot more, human,
Right.
It proves that we don't have to become like productivity robots to see positive change.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about this whole concept. We all have those autopilot moments throughout the day.
Yeah.
And by becoming more conscious of them, by choosing to, integrate even small positive habits, we can really shift the trajectory of our lives.
Right.
It's not about overnight transformations. It's about those consistent incremental changes that compound over time.
Small hinges swing big doors, as they say.
Exactly. That's it.
So to recap, we've got our 5 key habits. Waking up early, setting clear goals, prioritizing health, never stopping learning, and practicing gratitude. We've explored why they work, heard real-world examples, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty motivated to start putting this into practice. But where do we even begin? Should we try to tackle all 5 habits at once?
That's a great question. And honestly, trying to change everything overnight is a recipe for burnout.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Instead of trying to do it all, why not choose one habit that really resonates with you?
Okay.
The one you feel could have the biggest impact on your life right now. Focus on that one habit for the next few weeks,
Okay.
Really make it a part of your routine. And remember, consistency is key.
Right.
There are tons of great habit tracking apps out there.
Oh, yeah?
That can help you stay accountable.
A habit tracker.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm all about a good app.
Haha, me too.
But what about those times when we slip up?
Uh-huh.
We hit snooze instead of the gym.
Yeah.
Or we reach for the donut instead of the smoothie.
Right.
How do we stay motivated and not feel like we failed?
That's a really good point. First of all, it's so important to remember that slip-ups are totally normal.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna happen.
Yeah.
They're part of the process. Don't beat yourself up about it.
Right.
Instead, just acknowledge it,
Okay.
Figure out why it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and this is the most important part, get right back on track.
Okay.
And don't forget to celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yes.
Every day that you stick to your new habit, that's a victory.
I like that.
Those small victories, they build momentum and keep you moving forward.
That's so true. We often get so focused on the big picture that we forget to celebrate all the little steps that get us there. Every little win deserves a happy dance,
Absolutely.
Even if it's just me dancing around my kitchen in my PJs.
Love it.
But really celebrating those small milestones helps us stay motivated and keeps our eyes on the prize, right?
Exactly. You got it. It's about progress, not perfection.
Yes, I love that. And speaking of the bigger picture, as we wrap up our deep dive into these 5 habits, I have a question for you.
Okay, so
Out of these 5 habits, waking up early, setting clear goals, prioritizing health, never stopping learning, and practicing gratitude, which one feels the most impactful for you right now?
That's a tough one. They're also important. I think for me personally right now, it's prioritizing health.
Yeah.
I've been feeling a little burnt out lately, and I know that if I don't take care of myself first, I won't be able to do any of the other things on that list effectively.
That's a really good point. You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about making sure I'm getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and moving my body regularly.
I love that. What about you? Which habit are you going to focus on?
That's a great question. I think for me right now, it's going to be setting clear goals.
Okay.
I have a lot of ideas and I tend to get scattered. So I really need to hone in on my top priorities and break them down into smaller steps.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of us struggle with. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture, but if we can break things down into smaller, more manageable chunks, it feels a lot less daunting.
Right, exactly. And then, you celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yes, exactly. Every step forward is a victory no matter how small. So there you have it, folks. 5 powerful habits inspired by some of the most successful people out there. We've talked about why they work, shared real-world examples, and explored how to make them work for you.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you.
Yes. Tell us which habit you're going to focus on and how you plan to make it a part of your daily routine. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.
And don't forget,
we'd love to hear from you.
To celebrate those small wins along the way.
Exactly. Every step counts. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing,